Hey, you guys like it when a coach plays things close to the vest? I mean, Kubiak wasn't saying a damn thing. Ryan, I don't even need you to answer because I know you, me as reporters, we can't stand that. But TJ, like as a fan, are you cool with the coach like holding it close to the vest, or you want the deets on stuff?
I think as a creator, I want to see the details, but at the end of the day, man, hey, as long as God answered our prayers with Ashton Jeanty, we're all good, man.
I was dying at that part.
Hey, my bad. I didn't know you could keep saying anything. We're trying to get things rolling, dog.
No, but like I was dying about that part, honestly, when they were like, "Were your prayers answered?" Even Kubiak laughed. Like that was classic.
It's funny because I thought of that in my video after we found out it wasn't that serious. I was like, man, those prayers actually worked, dog. So somebody asked that today. I was like, oh, dang. It wasn't one of you guys, though, right?
No, it was Sam Gordon, I think, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Sam.
Okay, Sam's gotten Kubiak on a couple of them. I know in Houston, he asked them, what was it? Do you anticipate the starters playing or something like that? What was he phrased it one way, and Kubiak was like, I like the way you phrased that. You almost got me.
Like, trying to get him, dog.
Great. Yeah, you got to love that. But hey, anyway, Raider Nation, thank you guys for joining us. Welcome into another installment of the Raiders Collective. I'm Jesse Merrick. That's Ryan McFadden and TJ Leota, Mr. SamoanRaider. Guys, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, this is a busy week. The show, as you guys know, you see it down below, is brought to you by Prize Picks. Make sure you download the app, play $5, get $150 and free lineups if you win that first lineup there, guys. We got to start with the biggest news. Ashton Jeanty goes down. Ryan, you and I were both there. You want to give me your perspective of the injury? We can kind of go back and forth a bit. And then, TJ, I would love to hear your side of things on just the ecosystem that you're in, kind of what your reaction was to everything.
Yeah, it's believed that he had an ankle sprain and it's not supposed to be a long-term injury. But I will tell you this, like if you were inside that practice facility when it happened, you would have thought like the Raiders season was over because like when you initially saw it, like it looked like because he fell on his right knee, he was down on the ground for a while. They shut down the music. All the players immediately got on one knee. So right then and there, you're immediately thinking, oh, this is a knee. This has to be, is it a knee? Is it a leg? Is around those two? Like you would never suspect it just off of the media's vantage point and what we saw. Not like we're not doctors, but like based on what we saw at that moment in time, it looked like either a knee or a leg injury. The way basically what happened is Kirk Cousins threw a low ball in the flat. Ashton Jeanty probably should have let the ball go. Because it was going to be incomplete anyway. Instead, he tried to dive for the ball. He landed on his knee. He was down momentarily, and he couldn't put any pressure on his right leg. And he immediately got, carried off the field by two trainers. And what led to after that was you heard someone amongst the Raiders. I don't know if it was Kubiak. I don't know if it was Cousins. I don't know if it was a player or another coach. But, you heard someone saying a prayer, and then after they said the prayer, they continued to, they kept practice. And like even for a few moments after what happened, the vibes in there was still kind of weird. All the players seemed defeated. I think like 2 plays after, like a couple plays after that happened, Mendoza threw a pick 6 during the team period. It was like you saw
everybody was all messed up.
Dude.
Yeah, so it wasn't just like me. Like I tell people all the time because like when it came out later this evening that night that was an ankle. It's believed to be an ankle sprain. Kubiak didn't confirm or deny it being an ankle sprain, but it is believed to be an ankle sprain, right? Like I know fans are like, yo, why they ever make a big deal of it? No, I'm telling everybody, no, it literally looked. It literally looked that bad. Like it literally,
you guys scared me. Like people outside, like content creators, for everything we were reading, it was like, dude, this is serious. Like this is really serious.
We're not trying to. We wasn't like the media was trying to over exaggerate it. We are literally. This is what we saw like from beginning to end. So like everyone can put it how they take. Like everyone can take it. Like take what we report, and in their own context. I'm saying like. It did not look good. So to see them say, and like there's still a lot of unknowns there because Kubiak really wasn't like forthcoming with the details in terms of like if Ashton's going to be in IR, or he's going to be some time. Is a high ankle sprain, is a low ankle sprain? He really didn't provide much detail right there. So we're just going to have to wait and see, especially when we get to the regular season, because that's when the injury report comes out, and then you can kind of get a clearer idea of the severity, because that's how it was last year with Brock Bowers, and you kind of knew something was up based on like the practice reps and all that. But yeah, it did not. I'll tell everybody right now, it did not look good at all. Like you really thought, like when he fell, I'm like, oh, this had like it looked like either a leg or a knee injury from the jump, just how he fell and his reaction to the injury. So for it to be an ankle sprain, not to be as bad as we thought, like I'm still surprised at how everything played out.
Yeah, I'll second that, Ryan. Like, I got to back you up on this because, like, I was like, I knew it was going to happen afterwards. Everybody was going in on us, and I get it because from the outside looking in, you're like, damn, you guys exaggerated all this stuff. It's like, no. What we saw looked like something that was a reaction to a season-ending type of injury. Like, that's what it gave off. Those were the vibes that I felt down there because you don't do a prayer circle for something like that. And look, the players, they're not doctors either, but they're much closer than we were. Like, to give you guys a little inside baseball, when they're in the indoor facility, once the shooting window is done for us in terms of when we can film practice, they move us to the back of the end zone, and they were driving the opposite field. They were on, like, what, the 40, the plus 40, somewhere around there, right, Ryan? Driving opposite of us. So they're kind of far away from us, too. So, like, again, not the greatest vantage point, but we can see plenty, but we can't see the minute details, and we're not hearing things because they have music on. And so all we have to rely on is how the team reacts. And when they react like that, we're all thinking, oh, damn, like he's done for the year type of thing. Like it was wild. So, yeah, Ryan, I'll back you up on that one any day because it looked real bad. Obviously, nobody wishes an injury upon anyone. So good news for everyone involved that it sounds like it's more on the lower end, more on the low end versus high end of an ankle sprain. At least is what I heard Ian Rappaport saying today. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Kubiak, again, not giving anything with that. But a wild situation. TJ, again, I want your perspective. Like you said, we scared you. But like, what were the hours like until you heard the report from Ian Rappaport and also Shefty as well, diving into the details on it?
No, for sure. I think from the outside looking in, like, of course, reacting off of you guys reacting to the team, it's like a whole domino effect. But like from us, it's like, oh, dang. Like, I know a lot of Raider fans that were like, man, the season is over and stuff. I didn't want to go that far. Yeah. I will say this, God is good because I think those prayers really worked for the team, right? Because it wasn't that serious as it could have been. And I know the news came out, like, I dropped a video on it, like this is bad, and then 10 minutes later, freaking Adam Schefter wants to post something like, oh, okay, so it's not that bad. But I think looking at it, there's a lot of questions, and then a lot of people could blame, certain things of why it happened, the turf field, and why is Ashton Jeanty diving for a ball? I don't know, like all of that. For me, I know we're gonna get into it a little bit later. It was kind of worrying to see because you don't want that to ever happen, especially for somebody that we're all expecting to really be utilizing this offense. But seeing what we've seen in preseason from Mike Washington, it made me feel a little bit okay about the situation. Not saying like, okay, we're good. I'm just saying like, at least we have somebody that might be capable of taking over if he needs to. But like I said, without getting too far ahead of it, I think overall, initially, yes, I was like, damn, okay, what now? But like I said, after everything kind of like settled down, especially with some more information today from with the ankle sprain, I feel okay about it. And whatever happens moving forward, I think the Raider fans, the Raider Nation, the Raiders in general, could breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah. Let's go ahead, Ryan.
One thing I'll say to this is like I think what makes it challenging is like is trying to get a gauge on Kubiak's like remarks,
his demeanor, because
I don't know if he's optimistic. I don't know if he's just covered, like not trying to
Belichick up there, man. He wasn't giving us a damn thing.
Not trying to reveal too many details. And like I've seen it time and time again where they would say that and the guy is back healthy and there's no problem, and that was kind of like a way to like try to get opponents off guard. And in other ways, like we've seen coaches in the past where they sound optimistic and the guy is still not playing. Like you say, we'll see. I go back to last year with Pete Carroll. Like Brock Bowers after week 1 was battling a knee injury, limited in practice, and he says, "Oh yeah, he's fine. 3 games in, they say, as bad as it looked, we got to rest him." Then he rests for 3 games, then he comes back, right? And then it was like revealed to be like a bone bruise, a PCL sprain. There's a lot of stuff that was going on in the knee that made it hard for Brock to perform at a high level. But the way Pete Carroll's demeanor was discussing that, you would have thought, oh yeah, just give him a week on the brace, he'd be fine.
Yeah, that
after
is
that.
true. Yeah.
Then I go back to like covering the Ravens a few seasons ago with John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, and his iconic line is always "We'll see, we'll see, we'll see." And then we get to the end of the season and still Tyler Huntley as a starting quarterback. So like it's like Kubiak did a very good job at not revealing too much, and that's, as a media member, that kind of sucks because you kind of want to get those details and context for your work. And I think even fans, I guess, it might be hard too, because you're still kind of anxious because you still really don't know, right? Like,
no idea.
Is he good? Like, is he good? Like, are we going to see him next week? Like at practice? Like, we still don't know. Like, and it seems like it's trending. They're hopeful that he will not be out as long, but still it's still right to preserve judgment, because at the end of the day, like, Kubiak really didn't say like, hey, he didn't give us a specific timeline. Hey, we think he's going to be out for the first game. None of that. He just said he's on the mend. So we don't. When he say he's recovering, we don't know what stage of that process we're in. So we just have to wait and see. I think, like I said at the beginning of this, is once the regular season starts, then we're going to kind of get an idea, because then teams have to put out an injury report. They have to list the various things that player is dealing with at that time, and you kind of have an idea whether they're limited, full, or those not participating. That kind of gives you an idea, not the full picture, but it gives you a decent picture of what they're actually dealing with when a coach is not like forthcoming with a lot of details on players' injuries.
Yeah, he hit us. I don't know if you guys are hockey fans or not. Like, I covered the Golden Knights for 6 years when I worked for NBC here in Vegas, and there was a coach, Pete DeBoer. He said on the horizon was his version of on the mend, and like there were players that were on the horizon for months. Like, so it's like how long is on the mend? What's the timeline on that? Nobody knows. You'll wait and see. And the other thing in all of this too, like, I think for fans, what I would give you guys advice is like, don't listen to all the Twitter doctors and things like that are coming out saying like, oh, well, this is probably what it is, or that's what, like, here's the timeline. Like, again, nobody knows.
There are some Twitter doctors out there. That's crazy.
Just wait and like let them kind of announce it and let the reporting happen and all that. And also to keep in mind that throughout training camp, like, they have taken a very cautious approach with every injury, which they should at this time of year, and they still have a buffer before the season starts. So yeah, I'd be shocked if we see him out there within the next handful of days. And honestly, like, if I had to guess, and we're not doctors again, as Ryan said, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's out next week too. And maybe we don't see him until the first week of the season, just to give the kids some rest and see how the ankle responds kind of to all of that,
For sure. And real quick, and speaking of like the fans, I do want to give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. We got Cocaine Raider up in here. That's a crazy name.
Cocaine Raider. That's a wild ass name.
It's kind of crazy. I just thought of it when I read it. LB Maximus, shout out to the Us up in here. We got Raider Carrillo up in here. Raiders First Down. Andrew up in here. We got Mike Nato up in here. Andrew Castro. Some people are saying, hey, I prayed for a bone bruise and was awarded the most medium ankle sprain ever. So, hey, it's a good sign. We dodged a bullet for sure. Shout out to Space Beast up in here. But yeah, overall, I think, it's good news. Not the best news, but at least we know, hey, we could kind of hopefully expect them to come back by week one. I think that's best case scenario. I think I've seen a worst case scenario where it could be like, if they do put them on IR, do you guys think that's a possibility just to the first 4 games, or not at all?
Only thing is, like, if it's a high ankle sprain, yes, but it seems like based on Ian Rappaport said it's trending on the low side. But like I said, like, Kubiak did not confirm nothing, which makes it we're once again in this we're once again in the speculation phase. And I tell Raiders fans right this while we're on the podcast before I get back to my point, right? Like, get ready for a lot of this during regular season, right? When there are if and when there are injuries, get ready for the type of stuff you heard from Kubiak today. He's been like that since OTAs, and I was interested to see how he handles probably, I would say, his first major injury with a major player, how he would handle that, and he remains unchanged. So everyone get ready for these type of remarks. So, but yeah, like, if it's trending on the low side, I don't think he'd be placed on the IR. If anything, maybe miss the first 2 or 3 games. But if it does turn out to be a high, and it seems like that's not the case, then that's where you kind of see where that would probably lead to him being put on the IR. If I'm not mistaken, I think Colton Miller had a high ankle sprain, and then that ended up causing him to miss the regular. I think it was a little bit more.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
a high.
that's right.
It was a high ankle sprain, and something else. This is off the top of
Ankle
my
sprains are
head.
tricky. Like
Yeah.
timeline wise,
Yeah.
like there's no rhyme or reason to how those things go. Like if it is indeed a lower ankle sprain, then like total game changer in terms of shortening the timeline.
Yeah.
You know,
I wanted to ask this too, because I don't know if this is something that maybe that's why Clint doesn't want to say anything. You know, like, do you think like he just wants to like keep it hush until week 1 and let Miami kind of like plan otherwise if we were to have Jeanty out there or not?
I think that's a solid point. Is that Antiversal? Is that his name?
Antiversal,
yeah. Yeah, that's a solid point. And honestly, like I agree with you. Like I am all for coaches like holding on to, you know, the holding things close to the vest in terms of like, hey, it's a competitive advantage for us or disadvantage, whatever. Like I get that. And it could be something like to have to prepare for more or look more at Mike Washington Jr. or dig deeper into their backfield and all that stuff. You know, coaches are crazy. Opposing coaches are crazy. They're going to have to do so many things. So give them more to think about. Like, I can totally see that. And that's why coaches play games like that this time of year, too. Totally. I mean, Ryan, that tracks, right? I mean, like, this is what coaches do.
Yeah, to your point, this is what they do. You have some coaches who are pretty good with the details and some who are very, like, you know, they don't want to reveal their hand to you know, out there for their opponents to take it, to use that as an advantage. Sean Payton was like that, where like he wasn't so forthcoming when it comes to injury, especially when it comes to a star player. Like I know, like you ask him about an injury with Pat Surtain, and he might want to get mad. He might want to choke you for asking.
I've seen that.
And you know that's who he is. Like I said, John Harbaugh was the same way in Baltimore when it came to Lamar Jackson. He would just say, "Hey, we'll see." Or there was times where he didn't want the camera on the quarterbacks, right? During practice, like during the shooting period, they would say, "Hey, you cannot record the quarterbacks." And he had a really logical reason. He had a reason why he didn't want cameras on the quarterbacks at certain times during a warm-up period, which is typically that shooting period is when you can record the quarterbacks. Harbaugh was a different person. He did not want you to do that, especially when like someone like Lamar Jackson was dealing with injury. So yeah, you use that as a competitive, like, you know, coaches don't want to reveal their hand too much. And just, I think Kubiak is that type of guy. You can just tell, like, I think Kubiak is trying to show, like, use the advantage of being a first-time head coach, and no one really knows how this is going to look, how his offense is going to look, and how he's going to, you know, mix and match different, different lineups. So it seemed like he wants to use that to his advantage, and I think that trickles down to letting people know about what a player dealing with injury related or not.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And like, this isn't like a pat on the back to you or me, Ryan, or anything like that. Like, but like teams have lists of the beat reporters and things like that. And they have people whose job is to follow and look and see what we're posting and what people around the team are posting. And they will analyze every little thing about these guys. You know, they're looking for the smallest minute detail that they can take advantage of. So again, like, I totally understand not giving information, and even in Harbaugh's case right there, not necessarily wanting video of the quarterbacks out there too, because again, these coaches are insane, and they have people on staff at a lot of teams around the league that literally analyze this video like it's game tape. It's wild. The extent that you go, but it's the NFL. Like, it literally is a game of inches or millimeters, if you even want to go that far, and they'll look for any advantage that they possibly can. Now, in the meantime, again, not knowing what Jeanty's status is going to be for week 1, the big question is, okay, does this mean that Mike Washington Jr. is in line for a bigger role here? And I think that ends up being the case. So for you guys, like, I'm curious what you've seen out of him so far and how you feel about him potentially taking on a larger role or being the lead back until Jeanty is back, whenever that may be.
I think I'm comfortable with Mike Washington being the lead back. It's just, how do you deal with the depth behind him? And I want to start with Mike Washington. I think Mike Washington has shown every last bit of someone who can be like a 1-2 punch in this run game when Ashton Jeanty does return. And I wonder how much did that change the Kubiak's perspective of the run game, where, you know, like he said, like, oh, I want Jeanty to be this bell cow back. I don't want him to come off the field. And Mike Washington is showing that he can make explosive plays in the run game too. And do you switch it up where it's like, you know, 60-40 when Ashton Jeanty comes back, 70-30, but at the meantime, Jeanty's gone for the moment. But I think if it's a situation where Mike Washington has to be the lead back for, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or however it is, maybe a game, we don't know yet, but we'll see. I think I'm confident he can handle that role. And like I said, he's been getting a lot of reps with the first team offense. Not just these past 2 days, but throughout training camp as well. You see him you have seen him alternate between him and Jeanty quite a bit. We have seen the speed, we have seen the explosiveness from him. And you match that 4.3 speed with his size. Like, man, he's a polarizing. He looks like a polarizing player in that backfield. Now, he had issues coming out of college dealing with holding the ball so far during these practices and games, in preseason games. We haven't seen that quite a bit. We haven't seen that at all. Does that change in the regular season when the games matter and the nerves are a little bit spike just a little bit? But you've seen the explosive plays, and that's what this Raiders team needs. That's something they lacked last year, even with Jeanty, right? Because he just kept getting hit at a lot of scrimmage so constantly. But still, Jeanty showed those plays abilities, and Washington showed he can make it. The 53-yard run against Arizona, the 33-yard run against the Houston Texans last week. So I think that what gives me the confidence is that Jeanty brings those explosiveness, and with him there, Mike Washington has shown that he can make those explosive plays in the backfield as well. So I'm confident in him. I'm just a little bit more concerned about how the depth the depth behind him, Olave, Dyer, Roman, are they able to step up, and can they weather the storm if Ashton Jeanty does miss some time? And if it's a significant amount of time, then do they go out and get somebody?
Yeah. I think to piggyback off of that for sure. I think what we've seen from Mike Washington so far in these 2 preseason games, and I think training camp all training camp long, is that I think he's more than capable to be the RB1, especially in a situation like this. And seeing him go out there for a couple of weeks, and I think that's going to be another thing that's going to be interesting to see is this Niners game, whether or not they're going to limit his reps, because he might be the main guy going forward until Ashton Jeanty's ready to go, right? So I do have a lot of confidence in him, especially from what we've seen. The explosiveness is definitely there. Every time he touches the ball, it seems like he could take one to the house. And that's something that us Raider fans, we love to see. And I think that's why we were so excited to see Ashton Jeanty and Mike Washington. But I think the other side of it, of course, is the depth, right? And Ryan spoke on it, is, we do have these young guys. Dylan Laube, he's looked pretty solid here and there as well. But maybe the Raiders might look into getting a veteran running back option out there. And the good thing is, we're going into the last preseason game, and maybe we could just wait until the waiver wire, right? There's going to be a lot of people that are going to get let go or waived, and the Raiders, I think they hold the number 1 priority, so they could wait and maybe bring in another veteran guy if they were to get released, if they want to do that. But I think knowing Clint Kubiak's offense, the way he runs it, it's always going to be a running back by committee. So I think having that depth behind Mike Washington is definitely going to be crucial, at least until Ashton Jeanty does come back, though.
Yeah, there's no rush, Mike Washington's an interesting cat. Like you guys said, we've seen the explosiveness in the preseason games thus far. I mean, look, the 4.33 speed, you can see it. I am surprised. I think it was the 55-yarder that he got hawked. I thought he was gone. I expected to see
even
the
this last
translate.
one too, bro.
Yeah, I was like, what? I'm like, I thought he had 4.33 speed. I was a little surprised about that one. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was going to run away from him. So we'll see, if that translates and can translate into finishing those big runs. But look, this is a kid that was very much so boom or bust. These are my favorite stats to dive into anytime we talk about Mike Washington Jr. In college at Arkansas, he averaged 9.6 yards per carry when he was contacted at or beyond the line of scrimmage. That was the 2nd highest mark in the running back class of this draft, second only to Jeremiah Love. But on the flip side of that, 21.4% of his runs went for no gain, which was the highest rank or highest clip of any running back in the class. So again, very boom or bust, either all or nothing type of thing. And we've seen the boom from him so far, consistently down in and down out when he's the number 1 guy. Is that going to translate to the NFL and it's going to be more of that boom or bust thing? Or can he be that volume rusher that can be productive down in and down out? That's going to be very, very interesting to watch. And like you guys said, the depth behind him, I've been banging the table for Dylan Laube as RB3. I think he's a lock. I've said that. And I don't want to see him as RB2. I'll be completely honest, and that shouldn't shock anybody. But as a depth RB3 piece receiver out of the backfield, I think he's got some there. And then obviously as a special teamer. But I'm going to be fascinated to see if Jeanty does indeed miss time, how they work that share behind him. But you guys brought up potentially bringing in some other guys. Obviously, there's no rush to do that, but I just want to throw out some of the names that are out there and get your guys' thoughts on some of these guys. Joe Mixon is available. Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Nick Chubb, Raheem Mostert, Raider from last year. He's got experience in this system. Kareem Hunt, Alexander Madison, another guy that's got experience in a system like this working in Minnesota. Miles Sanders, Keontae Ingram, Deneric Price, Cam Akers, and Chase Edmonds. Those are just a handful of the names that are out there. Are there any guys in particular that really pique your interest that could be available?
I will
Mixon
go
if he's healthy. Oh my God.
I will go with Kareem Hunt. One thing with like Chubb, he just retired, so that
yeah, good point.
Yeah.
So we but I think Kareem Hunt probably seems like the best fit there. Just like I think
he just worked out with the Lions today.
Yeah,
too, by the way.
And he has 600. I believe he has 611 rushing yards in 17 games with the Chiefs last year, 4 starts. So I think if you want to I think you do this if you know Ashton Jeanty is going to miss significant amount of time.
Exactly.
And that's where you got to read between the lines, right? If they make a move, then that tells you the significance of the injury.
So and that's the one thing everyone need to keep in mind with over these next couple of days. If that transaction wire, like when that transaction notification comes out and it says the Raiders had tried out this running back or this person is visiting or they do sign someone, to me, that's kind of another indication that they think Ashton Jeanty is going to be out longer than they expect him to be. But like he is, I think Kareem Hunt makes a lot of sense there. I think he is someone like will be a solid, 2 guy behind Mike Washington. He brings a lot of experience. He's been productive at times. And I think he's someone that if you bring him in, like it won't not like, it won't be as sexy as Jeanty in Washington, but like at least you're able to stay afloat in the run game. So to me, I think Kareem Hunt makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think Kareem would definitely be good too. I know that the Raiders worked out with Miles Sanders, so I don't know if that's another name, if he's still available out there. Raheem Mostert, formerly played for the Raiders, would be pretty cool. I'm interested in Joe Mixon though, but that's if he's healthy. I know that's did he recently become a free agent or he's been a free agent?
He's been one, right, Ryan? That's my understanding of it. But the interesting thing there is just the Houston tie. I mean, look, there's been a handful of guys like Dare in particular. I think there's one other guy that they brought in from Houston. Obviously, Clint has a relationship, with oh my God, Houston's head coach.
I forget his name now.
I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but he's got a relationship with Houston's head coach, and that dates back there. And then obviously his dad coaching in Houston, like he's got folks that have been in that building.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a connection there. Again, what would he command money wise? Does that make sense? That's all things that need to be factored into it.
And I think that goes to you guys' point too. My bad. Well, I think it goes back to your guys' point is like, okay, if the Raiders do make a move, especially depending on who they bring in, it'll definitely kind of give us an outlook of how Jeanty's doing, right?
Exactly, yeah. But all that to be said, like I'm with you guys. Like I think stick with Mike Washington Jr. Like just kind of like with the receiving core. Like let those guys show you what they can do. Let him show you what he can do. But yeah, that's an interesting comment there. Eckler would be fun. Just because he's been such a hater that would have to change his tune. That's actually kind of funny.
The crazy thing is Austin Eckler, he works out over here in Vegas all the time. He actually goes to the gym that I go to. So I be seeing him like I was like, man, he's not playing for anybody right now. He could just go show up at the facility.
That's funny. Yeah, that always cracks me up, like just in terms of players that have played for other teams that are like rivals and everything like that. That's got to be so weird to do it. Even with Kubiak, like, again, his dad won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. Like, how weird must that have been for him, wearing silver and black for the first time? It's just so funny, like how, I don't know, incestuous the league is, I guess if we can use that word, which feels gross even saying that one, but like, that's just how the league is. It's wild the way that it works. Yeah. But I'm with you guys, though. Like, I want to see what Mike Washington can do with the opportunity if it presents itself.
Yeah, for sure. A real quick shout out to the Raider Collective. I think they say we're 53 subs away from 1K. We appreciate your support. Go. Yeah, as it sits right now, we are 51 subs away. So if you guys haven't already, man, hit the subscribe button, man. This is something that we started about 3 weeks ago, and we're almost at 1,000. So I'm excited about the season. I know it's gonna be a lot of vibes definitely going into the season. But shout out to everybody that's been supporting. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button and that sub button. We're going to continue to do this on a weekly basis, though.
Yeah, this is show 4, right? That's pretty good for show 4, man.
It is all day this is 4?
Yeah, I think it's show 4.
Damn,
yeah, I mean, we've been bouncing around our days left and right.
I know. Hey, I know you guys are busy. I'm busy. I'm like,
yeah.
We just show
Tuesdays
up,
are going to be the regular run of it all. But like, man, you guys have been awesome. 1,000 subs already after 4 shows, doing it once a week only so far. Like that's awesome. So thank you guys for supporting us and helping with the growth. again, as TJ just said, like this is just the beginning of kind of what we're doing here. So I can't wait for the season and what the growth brings our way. That's exciting though, man. With that
we're
though,
40
guys,
now.
I feel like
Now we're 40.
40 way. Oh, look at that!
They're
Wow.
subscribing now. It's
Live
like,
shows are good.
hey, make sure to hit the sub button, man. Let's do it on the show.
What is it? Smash those like buttons.
Do it on the show. Hey, let's get 1,000 when we're done. I'm gonna keep the counter on too.
Yeah. It's been a weird transition for me
I'll keep
coming
you
from the journalism world to jumping into the YouTube space. I'm gonna be like, smash those like and subscribe buttons. It takes some getting used to for me, but we appreciate you guys doing it. In the meantime, though, I feel like we got to pay a little bills as we're talking about this and talk about some prize picks lineups that we got coming your way, guys' way, right?
Go.
You guys got this one? Let me pull it up in front of me on here too, real quick.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we're talking Brock Bowers again. Look, we talked about it. We are all high on Brock Bowers. Ryan and I in particular, we've seen this dude cooking everybody in camp. There is not a soul that can cover Brock Bowers. Is there anybody else in the league that can stop him consistently if he's healthy?
Anyone stopping the lead? Pat Surtain.
I was going to say, he's probably the
that's
only
the
one.
one. That's the one that, like, from a numbers, like, I have to go back and look at the full numbers. But whenever he's matched up against whenever Pat Surtain's matched against Brock Bowers has had a hard time. If I had to pick one, it's definitely him. I remember, like, because when they started doing that, I was actually covering the Broncos at that time, and it was Brock Bowers' rookie year when he had that big touchdown catch to begin the game in Denver, and then after that they said, "All right, we're done with this. Hey, Pat, just play against Brock.
Like, all right,
Hey, Pat, just line up against him. I don't care where you're at. I don't care. No matter where Brock Bowers lined up, we need you in front of this guy the whole game." And it got to the point where, the Broncos ended up figuring out a way. They beat them twice that year, and they just said, "Hey, we're just gonna let Jacoby Myers beat us, because." We're not gonna let Bowers beat us, because we let Bowers beat us, we might lose this game. So if Jacoby Myers is gonna get his numbers, that's fine, as long as Brock Bowers is limited to under like 90 yards. And Pat Surtain has done it at a high level. It's interesting how Kubiak would try to scheme around that, because he is challenging, and that's someone Brock Bowers is gonna have to deal with twice this year.
It's gonna be something we see a lot from him for sure. That's
do
the thing.
You guys
haven't said that though. Go ahead, TJ.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you think it matters who the quarterback is? I don't think so. Huh?
No.
It don't matter who's out there. He's gonna get it,
because it doesn't matter, because you go back to the joint practice. One of the biggest throws Mendoza had training camp was the Brock Bowers, and that was in the joint practice. So it doesn't matter. We've seen Brock Bowers has caught passes from Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, Kenny Pickett, a handful of guys, and still been successful. So
that's why I think 925.5 receiving yards. Like, again, we've talked about this because he's been on here a couple times. Like, you hammer that. Like, I don't see him being under 1,000 receiving yards. Health being considered.
I like how they took off the Ashton Jeanty line.
Yeah, I know. Like, dang.
Yeah, not slick though.
Yeah. We see what you guys did over there.
It's all good though.
Yeah. Trey Tucker is an interesting one though here for me. I was intrigued by this. They've got the number at 3 receiving touchdowns for him. Okay. They're picking more. I went back and looked at the stats on him here, okay? He had 2 touchdowns his rookie year, 3 touchdowns in 2024. Last year he had 5 touchdowns. Now seemingly stepping into a larger role. I mean, what do you guys think? You think he can top 3 receiving touchdowns this year? I think that's an interesting number.
I think so.
I think so.
Because he's going to be one of the primary wide receivers alongside of Jalen Naylor right now. And then, I think 3 is more than capable. He's more than capable of getting over that.
It feels low. Also, I think if I were setting it, I would have had it like 4.5. Like, I think that's a better line.
Yeah, that would have made it more.
Also, too, because you gotta put this into account. Like, whenever Kubiak does push the ball down the field and let Cousins, let the ball fly, I think Trey Tucker is going to be that go-to guy. So when it comes to those deep touchdown passes, I think he's going to be the recipient of those whenever those plays are called. But I think he's going to get slightly over that. I can see it around 4 or 5. So I think around that range we're going to see what Trey Tucker say. I'll put over.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to me to see who's like the primary target in terms of when they take those shots, doing it over the middle, because that's where this offense wants to live. Like, Trey's a guy that's got all the speed in the world. I mean, the next gen stats each and every year, he's always up there. I know at one point he was the fastest player in the league, but I am so fascinated to see what his usage is going to be. I like Jalen Naylor better as an over the middle. I can't talk. I like Jalen Naylor better as an over the middle of the field type of target on some things, but it's gonna be fascinating to watch Trey Tucker. The other one here, I was laughing. We got J.K. Scott. We've got some punter content in here. Funny story. I actually covered, J.K. Scott. I covered him when he was at Alabama, which is funny. Yeah, blast from the past, long time ago. This is punts inside the 20. What's the number on this one again?
It is 25 and a half.
Yeah. So again, here, let me go through the stats and have you guys react and give your take on this one. Okay. I'm just going to rattle through from 2018 all the way to 2025. Okay. He had 19 punts inside the 20 his rookie year, 29, 15, 0 because he played in one game in 2021, 19, 28, 28, and 21. So he's broken this number a handful of times.
Yeah. So definitely go more on that then, right?
Yeah.
You would think so.
I would think so.
Because they're going to punt a lot.
I wonder how much that offense is going to punt, though, because I like the addition of Mike McDaniels. I know this is a Raiders show, but I think that dude is going to do a lot of good things for that offense, man. I got to keep it real.
Yeah, I'll keep it biased, though. I think against us, he'll probably punt like 5, 6, 7 times.
No, yeah, we'll see how that ends up going. Sorry, my dog's barking in here.
It's all good. He don't agree with that one. I was just joking.
Yeah, he thinks we're wrong on this one.
He's trying to put in his thoughts, dog.
Yeah, we're getting him out of the room right now. He can't have any more input on these picks. I think what he was really saying is make sure you download Prize Picks, use the code HMA. If you play $5 and win, you'll get $150 in free lineups. I think that's what that bark actually meant.
There we go.
With that, let's get back into the show, guys. We got to dive into it and talk about the preseason finale. These ones are always interesting. First and foremost, Ryan, I'd love your thoughts on how you think the reps amongst the quarterbacks / starters as a whole are going to be handled, because it feels like over the last handful of years, coaches have used the final preseason game as hey, you need to make the team or you need to show me something, and that's why you play, and the starters are all sitting for the most part.
Man, I'm already predicting Cousins not playing. He'd probably be out there suited up in warmups, and then by the next time they come out, he's not gonna have his pads on, just uniform and probably a baseball cap. And I think Mendoza. I've been debating about this is because it's he is gonna be your QB2, and how much, and he is your top pick. And
keeps saying he needs reps too. He keeps saying that.
Yeah, so it's reps. So you're kind of. That's why I think he's probably going to get a drive. Maybe I think he's going to play a drive and they take him out. I think the key thing here, I personally think you're going to see a lot of Aiden O'Connell, and I'm hoping we finally get it. Jacob Clark,
come on,
give
him some reps.
Fourth quarter, I hope when he gets in there, I hope Allegiant Stadium gives him a standing ovation.
Oh, bro.
Better, man. This
trust me, I'll be in there and going high.
This is a guy that there's so much talk about Mendoza, Cousins, O'Connell. They have a fourth quarterback on the roster right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't get too much. You don't see him getting too much practice reps, right?
Yeah. So he hasn't taken a single rep in team, right? At least for the times I've been out there. This is crazy. Dude is stealing money. I mean, look, I want that job. I'll say that. But good on him. He's been a good soldier. He has earned reps. But God, are they going to give it to him? I don't know.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think Mendoza might get out there for a series. And I think that's it. I think Mendoza has shown enough in the preseason, and I think you already have an idea where they stand in terms of the quarterback competition. It still feels like Kirk Cousins is the guy, even though they did have Mendoza alternate with Cousins during practice today, during the scout team reps. So Mendoza was out there with the first team offense for the scout team portion of it. But when they shifted to 11-on-11, it was still the same rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Cousins with the 1s, Mendoza with the 2s, and we did not see the 3s out there. So I think I'm thinking Aiden O'Connell could get the majority of the reps. I think that's going to be key for him and the Raiders, because if there's a situation where the Raiders say, hey, we felt very comfortable about Mendoza, if he does have to step in sooner than expected, we think he'll be able to fill that. He'll be able to come in and make plays. And that right there, do they trade Aiden O'Connell? And is this an opportunity for him to audition for other teams to say, hey, I'm a backup quarterback with starter experience? And you look at teams like Miami, you look at teams like the Detroit Lions, maybe the Atlanta Falcons, right? those are teams that come off the top of my head. They that might want to call the Raiders and say, hey, we will give you a late round pick for this guy in case we need him to play games for us in the regular season, since you already have your short term and long term vision at quarterback already together with Cousins and Mendoza.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like, it's going to be so fascinating to watch. TJ, like, outside of the, by the way, 33 subs away from 1,000. God, you guys are awesome, man.
They own it right now, man.
Yeah,
they own it right
this
now.
is good. We got some good momentum going.
We're 30
on
now.
this
It's 30 now, so.
Let's go. Good. Thank
We're
God
there.
it's you doing this. I suck at math, man. We get paid to talk. but
Yeah.
TJ, outside of the quarterbacks, man, what are you interested in watching in this last preseason
man.
game?
Outside of the quarterback, I guess real quick on the quarterbacks, the Jacob Clark thing, like, yeah, I think that's something that I'm going to be excited to watch. And I just hope like that when he does go in, like it's meaningful reps, right? And he somehow, some way wins it for us. And I think that'll be even more bragging rights for us Raider fans against the Niners. And it's also good for Jacob Clark. But, outside of that, I think definitely we kind of spoke about the running back situation. And I think seeing how much usage Mike Washington has out there kind of like dictates the situation with Ashton Jeanty. So if he's out there for a drive or two, it's like, okay, they want to save him for, if he's out there for the first half or whatever, it's like, okay, maybe they're expecting Ashton Jeanty to come back in. And then, of course, the depth is going to be huge, right? Dylan Laube, Roman Hemby, Dare. Those are guys that we're all going to be looking at because if we want to just keep the guys that we have on the roster, we want to see what we have in them. I think the trenches for sure. Like I think JPJ returning, and you got JPJ, Caleb Rogers. That's going to be something to solidify going into the regular season. And then last of all, it's definitely the wide receiver battle for that wide receiver 3 spot, right? We see Malik Benson last game kind of struggle later on in the game with some drops. So, can he clean those up? Jack Besh, can we see a little bit more of him? And then, of course, with us releasing Noah Brown, does this create opportunity for someone like Devin Tompkins to go out there and try to like get on a final 53 or even a practice squad? So
that's my guy. He's been the guy that I've had circled throughout camp, man. I've been like,
I know you've been saying that. So and he's definitely been showing that quickness that he has out there, especially as a returner. That's kind of huge. So those are just some of the little things that we're looking forward to in this last game that I know. I'm pretty sure by the second half, we're all going to be like, we're just chilling until it's over.
Yeah, no.
But hopefully it's entertaining like last game. And I just want to win against the Niners as a Raider fan, like just for bragging rights. Yeah. I just want to win. It's just preseason. I know it's preseason, but just win, baby. That's the motto. And that's exactly what I want.
I'm originally from California. I'm not a Niners fan. Everybody knows, like, I'm a Bucs fan, but like I have a lot of friends who are Niners fans, and they get up so much for this game. Like I know you guys have played them in the preseason a handful of times, and it's funny how much they also get up for it. So like, don't say this game doesn't mean something. Like it definitely does to a lot of people for sure. I'm with you on that one. Just as an aside, as you guys were talking, and TJ, as you brought up like JPJ and Caleb, and I know we talked about that, but like, we're the Tuesday before the final preseason game, and the only rotation along the offensive line has been at right guard. And I know we talked about that, like that was going to be something to watch, but is it kind of surprising to you guys that is the only moving and shaking we've seen amongst the starting O-line this deep into camp? Like it feels like we can Sharpie Spencer Burford in as a starter and also DJ Glaze.
Yeah, only thing is with Glaze, I think what helps Glaze and why we didn't see competition there is because of his experience.
Yeah.
And he did. And I guess they're banking like, oh, he was solid as a rookie. Maybe we can bring him back to that and even more with our scheme and coaching. So I think that's helped them. At the same time, Charles Grant, they have not moved Charles Grant to right. He has played solely left tackle. But the interesting thing is seeing Trey Zoom get a lot of reps at right tackle in game. So are they developing Trey Zoom as a swing tackle as case like that's their plan B at right tackle in case DJ Glaze is underperforming and they have to make a change, right? So that's why I think why we don't see the competition there is because I think they're kind of this is just from my perspective. I just think they already know what Trey Zoom could provide in the interior, but I think they're slowly trying to help him groom into the right tackle spot because if DJ Glaze is having the production he had last year, we got to go to our plan B, which at the moment it looks like it will be Trey Zoom. So, but go back to the right guard. I'm shocked. Like this is the second straight year we're seeing JPJ in competition in right guard. I don't know if that's more. I don't know if that's more of like the coach. Like I look at it two ways. I look at it where it's like, hey, like I think maybe they're not as high on JPJ as other people are.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is, excuse me, do they see in a situation where, okay, like letting Caleb Rogers get these reps is in case if we don't have JPJ for whether it's injuries or whatnot, he's getting starter reps. He's developing continuity with the guys on the starting offensive line. I'm just kind of shocked we haven't seen that movement at the left guard spot.
Yeah.
I think they're really relying. I think one thing about Kubiak, it seems like he's really big on continuity, going out the gates with people and people that kind of have a firm grasp of what he wants to do for offense. So that's why you have Spencer Burford at left guard. You have Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. So it seems like he's very. When you look across the coaching staff, there's a lot of guys that's worked with him in the past or worked with his dad as well. So it's. I think they look. I think seems like continuity is really a big thing for Kubiak, and that's why I think Glaze has had that that upper hand. Why we have not seen movement at left guard, but yeah, I still think JPJ is going to be your starting right guard. Will that be that way for all 17 games? I'm not sure. But I think he is going to open the games because if you do break it down, like we talk about alternating reps, but if you break it down, it's not like 50-50. Like it's still, I think JPJ is still getting the majority of the first team reps over Caleb Rogers. Like even today, I think I tracked it down like I think 2 of the 3 team periods they went through where they were actually, it wasn't a walkthrough. It was JPJ with the ones, and then the other one was Caleb Rogers. So even though they're alternating, it seems like JPJ still is getting the more reps at that position.
Even when he came back from injury too, he was the first guy to get the snaps with the ones. Like the rotation continued, but he got first burn with the ones. So that stands out for sure. Yeah. Also, just in terms of things that I'm watching, like for the sickos of the depth piece guys, Patrick Johnson, he's another dude that's flashed. Kubiak talked about him today. Like. And somehow find his way onto this roster. Because, like, as we talked about last week, when Max Crosby hasn't been out there, he's been one of the only guys, him and Kean Sloan, that have been able to generate some pressure. Outside of that, like, who the heck really has, So I think that's something to watch. If Patrick Johnson can string together 3 good performances in the preseason and somehow find a way onto this roster, he's fighting an uphill battle, I think. But also, too, the other one that I'm really interested in that kind of seems like it's a battle developing now is Dalton Johnson and Greedy Vance. Particularly in the nickel spot. I think Dalton Johnson's safe. Greedy, I thought was, and honestly, I still think he is just because he's shown versatility. He can be an outside corner. He can be a pure nickel corner. He can also play back at safety, which is something they mixed in with him too. But, like, I think that battle has been really interesting to kind of watch transpire, and I want to see how that plays out in this game too.
Yeah, and going back to, Patrick Johnson, like this is gonna be key for him to trying to, because I have like we had an ESPN had us do like our final 53-man roster projection, and I had Sloan making it over Patrick Johnson in that edge group just because he's a rookie. They put the coach staff really likes his motor. We've seen that quite a bit. We have seen that flash quite a bit during in the passing run game. Like, they say, oh yeah, his motor, like the way he moves and his motor reminds them of Max Crosby. Not saying he's Max Crosby, but like that type of energy he brings to the field kind of reminds them of that. But Patrick Johnson, you look at the numbers, like he leads through 2 preseason game. He leads the team in sacks with 2. He has 3 quarterback hits and 5 pressures according to Next Gen Stats. So he's been putting up some pretty, and he also had a forced fumble against Houston as well. So he's filling up the stat sheet as well. So I think this is. And like when you have guys like that, it's hard to like try to like that's gonna be a tough decision to let them go. And I think it's gonna come down to because Patrick Johnson is a little bit older, so you kind of wonder like
those roster games.
Do you play in a situation where do we go with the guy who's been more productive, or do we go with the guy who's a little bit who does have the upside? So I think that's gonna be something to see. And I think to see in this game and how both of those players play, and do they make a case for which one creates the best case for them to keep on a 53-man roster spot? Going off the Greedy Vance, that's a tough one because you bring in Dalton Johnson as a rookie that they like, and now we're starting to see him play at the nickel quite a bit. Greedy Vance was is a guy who has moved around the secondary quite a lot during training camp practices. He has 2 picks on Mendoza, so he has made some plays from the ball, which is something that you would like to see. Yeah, he's been productive. He's had a solid camp, but sometimes we've seen throughout the NFL, just because you have a solid camp does not guarantee a spot on a 53-man roster spot, because you have to weigh in like the guys that we drafted, guys who we believe has upside to develop into something down the road. So we look at, you can have a solid practice, you can put up the numbers, but at the same time, if it's the guys upstairs in Raiders HQ in Henderson, Nevada has a lot. There's a lot they have to weigh. And I think when it comes to like Greedy Vance and Dalton Johnson, that's what you're looking at. This is the guy we just drafted. This guy in the 5th round, and we drafted him for a reason. So, what do we do there? So, or is it a situation where do we keep Tristan McCullum over Greedy Vance? So there's a lot of decisions looming, and I think this 3rd preseason game is gonna be the determining factor for a lot of those guys on the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
No, for sure. And especially, I know somebody in the chat just shout out to Space B. He said PJ and Sloan hopefully make the final 53. I think Laulu gets cut. Sorry, Simone. I know he's your cousin. Man, don't put that negative energy out there, dog.
Laulu's not getting
keep
cut.
him.
I'd be shocked.
I know.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'd be shocked. If Laulu got cut.
Yeah.
He's looked good at times.
Yeah, people are putting some shocking moves in there, like for surprising, because that would be shocking. Yeah. I know Thornton's. Oh, my bad. Did you guys talk about Dante Thornton?
No, but I could see that. Like that's
another name.
Transitions into our final topic here, though, like the roster.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, which I think is perfect. Like, because Dante Thornton's one of those ones we talked about a ton on the show. Like, I question whether or not he's going to make the team. Dude has not practiced in how long now? Like, is this 2 weeks? It's been a long time. And he looked like he was trending in the right direction. And I don't know, Ryan, was he? I wasn't there the last 2 days, but on Sunday I didn't see him working with the trainers.
He wasn't. He hasn't been practiced the last. They have 3 practices. I'm losing track. The last 3 practices they've had before this game, he hasn't been out there. I think this could be a situation. Which I was curious about is this a situation where he begins the season on IR and that gives them it creates a roster spot for the team? I think that could be the best case scenario, because this is a guy they did draft last year, and at the end of the day, like when it comes to NFL, if you got physical traits, they're gonna do whatever it takes to try to develop you until they realize they can't develop you anymore. And Dante Thornton does have the physical traits. He got the size, he has the speed, and like so I think that helps them, because when you look at that wide receiver room, which is not it's not the sexiest room, and it's not the it doesn't have a ton of upside. Like when you're from a guy with the physical traits, he does have the upper hand over a lot of guys in that room, right? So do you just want to like move on from him and let another team pick him up and develop him, and he turns out to be a solid wide receiver down the road? Or do you just stash him on IR, get him fully healthy, and then try to work and see what you can get out of him later on in the season? So I think that could be a way to keep him on the roster without necessarily just like cutting Thornton and just moving on from him, and not knowing, could we have developed this guy into a solid wide receiver, and we take advantage of these physical gifts that he has. So I think that's the basic case scenario. I think we're sticking to the wide receiver room as we talk about roster decisions. I think this is just a bold prediction for me. I think they're going to get a guy at some point, whether it's through the waiver wire trade after cut down. I think they have to, right? Like, I think as good as Malik Benson has been as practice, I think it's a tall task to ask a 6th round pick to come in and be one of your go-to pass catchers this early in his career. Not saying he can't develop into that, and not saying he can't do it, but that's a very tall task. And you're going to the season like, hey, we believe Malik Benson is going to be our wide receiver 3. And even though he's a 6th round pick, we're confident in that. But because we thought the same way going back last year, we thought the same way with Dante Thornton. It didn't pan out that way. So I think they're going to go out and get a guy. As much as Jack Best looked good in that first preseason game, it's like he had caught his first touchdown. I think he had 33 receiving yards. He has still been overall. He has been let me change my word. Underwhelming presence out there during practice, and maybe I get it. He has that potential to be a good blocker in the run game, and with them being a team that's going to rely on a lot of heavy personnel and want to run a rock, you want a big body guy with that physicality. Whether you use him in the slot to catch passes or he's there to block, but at the same time, you still want a guy to be out there to make plays. In that wide receiver room, and he has not shown he has not done that as much during practice. So I think at the end of the day, I think they're gonna have. I think that whether it's through free agency or trade, they're gonna have to bring someone in.
Also, too, look at the type that they brought in with Noah Brown. He was a guy, he's a speedster too. In terms of Besh, in terms of a guy that can't really threaten people deep. You need to do something to scare the defense, and I don't think he necessarily has that. The other thing too, to your point there, Ryan and Simone, I want to let you jump in on this, but I think it's interesting because, again, how often are they going to use 11 personnel? I would imagine they're going to be towards the bottom of the league in terms of 11 personnel usage by the time the season's done. So they're probably going to be relying on 11 personnel in some really critical downs this season, in critical passing situations. So, you need guys you can really trust. And to your point, even though Malik Benson has looked good, this last preseason game, too, drops in key situations on third down. You need someone you can trust in those spots. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating to kind of watch that.
Yeah, I think that the wide receiver room is definitely, there's going to be a lot of cuts there because we got a lot of depth there right now, but that definitely will open up a lot for whoever they do bring in. And somebody said they feel like Dante Thornton's going to hit the IR and they're just going to keep him for, which I could see that happening too. But as far as right now, the locks on the team, would you say it's Tucker, Naylor, Besh, Benson? I think somebody else did. Yeah, those are.
I think those are locks. Tucker, Trey Tucker, Jalen Naylor, Jack Besh, and Malik Benson. Those are your locks there. I think the initial 53-man roster, I originally had them with 6, but I think it's going to be 5 because I think Dante Thornton is going to be at the end. It's going to be placed on IR. That 5th, like I said, that's where it gets tricky. I think it wouldn't be surprising. Let's say it's a guy let's say Brandon Johnson, right, makes it, but then once they bring someone in on the waiver wire, they part ways with him. I think that's what's going to be. That's where I think you're going to see there. I think you're going to see a 5th wide out make it, and they might part ways with them, or they just carry 4 on that initial 53-man roster and then have someone else. So because the teams are always making changes. That 53-man roster is probably going to change 2 days after they release it.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's not going to be the same. You'll get your hopes up, oh man, Brandon Johnson made it. How is that possible? And then 2 days later, they say, all right, we're moving on from him because we just traded for this guy. So that's why I said I think the person who's going to fill out that wide receiver room, I don't think is there right now. I think it's going to be, I think it's someone either in a free agency or a trade market, or they're going to see what player across the league gets moved because there's always surprise players that get cut. That's the one thing about the NFL. There's always a surprise guy you thought was a lock. It happens every single year. There's just one guy who's been a veteran for one team, has been there for X amount of years, and you think he's a lock. And when it comes to roster cut down day, they say, hey, we're ready to go with this young guy, so we're just going to move on. So there's going to be situations like that across the league, and maybe the Raiders take advantage of that. But I don't think outside of those 4, I think the 5th guy, fills out the 1 or 2 guys that fill out that wide receiver room we're going to see week 1 in Miami. I don't think they're on the roster right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Interesting.
Yeah, look at that. 15 subs away from 1K. Man, we made some big headway here in this live stream. Let's make sure. Come on, guys. We got a couple more minutes left. Let's see if we can top 1,000 here on this one. We're so close; it wouldn't feel right if we don't. But I got an interesting one to throw out there to you guys. Unless you got something real quick, TJ.
No, just some questions from the chat real quick that I know you guys could answer. What happened?
I'll throw my thing in there that I was going to say in a bit. Let's hit the chat real quick.
Okay. No, when do they report the 53-man roster?
Sunday, right? Sunday's the cut.
Yeah, Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah. Okay. I had another question, but
while you look here, I'll throw this out.
Yeah,
there
go ahead.
And I'm going to butcher his name because I read it once or twice and just watched him play, but he stood out. Folorunzu Fatukasi.
Oh, yeah.
That dude.
Holy.
You think he makes the team? I mean, he flashed. And I
Yeah,
heard he was
definitely in
getting
his
reps with
last
the
one.
ones today, right? Did I hear that right? I thought I
Yes.
saw you or
He
Sam
got
talking
he,
about that on Twitter.
he got rushed with the ones today. I think he has shown some flashes and making some plays in the run game, which they need up front. Because you go back to that first game against Arizona, they had a very, very hard time slowing down the run. So
Yeah.
you can have a big body up there up front who can help you contain the run. I think I put him on my final projection, 53-man roster projection. I think he makes a team. So yeah, it's so far it's so good with him. I think he's gonna be they're gonna rotate guys quite a bit, but yeah, he's gonna be a guy. I think he's gonna crack the 53-man roster on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think bringing him in, makes you wonder about UDFA Gary Smith out of UCLA. Probably not long for this team anymore.
Yeah.
And there was somebody else, I forget who else it was. Brandon Cleveland, potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a 7th rounder, wasn't he? Right?
Yeah, I think it was
So, I mean,
end of
that
the
might
draft.
not bode well for him, even though he does bring some versatility to the table there. Trevor Maia, I hate to say, he didn't look hot in the last game.
I be forgetting he's on. Hey,
Yeah,
shout out to
like
my,
he was.
shout
I
out
mean,
to my
when I
little
went back
stuff.
and watched the tape of the game, like he was getting pushed off the line and pushed back into the linebackers, and I had someone text me jokingly, and this is bad, but like jokingly saying like, "Hey, coach wants to see you." When they went back and watched the tape on that, as in like, "Hey, you're getting cut." And it feels like that's the case for him, given what's happened there. But yeah, I'm really curious if Fatou Kassi ends up making this roster because like how quickly his ascension has been. And again, we talk about having trust in guys. As a dude that's lower on your depth chart, 9th year in the league, I believe. Again, comes over from Houston, has the ties
Yeah.
to the coaching staff. You can trust them. Just seems like someone to pay attention to here in this last preseason game if you're a fan and you're one of those sickos that's going to be watching deep into the 3rd, 4th quarter. If he's even playing that late, who knows? And that'll tell you that whether or not he probably made
Yeah.
this roster if he's not playing at that point. That speaks
Yeah.
volumes, I think.
Yeah, I think last thing. Do you think Aiden O'Connell is more of a? Do you think he's on the roster bubble, or is it it's a trade, or just keep him on the roster?
I think it's either trade or you keep him. I think if they can't find a trade partner, I think you keep him.
Yeah, it makes no sense to cut him. Yeah.
Until someone calls, and NFL, it's a very violent sport. Guys get hurt throughout the season all the time. So I think two things. I don't think they will outright cut him. There's no way.
No.
I think he's played
He's
well
played too
enough.
many games. Like
He's played too many games, and he's played well enough during training camp to keep him. Like he's been solid actually compared to last year. Last year he had a very bad camp. This year has been, to me, I think it's night and day. Working with the threes, I think he's looked very solid. You don't see him turning the ball over as much. You don't see the pre-snap issues that he had last year under like Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly during camp. All that's gone. Like you see him playing a lot better. So that's why I said he's put some really good tape. And then last week against Houston, he leads the team down the field for a game winning touchdown. For a go-ahead rushing touchdown. And look, it's preseason. I know a lot of people don't take stock in it, but stuff like that, when it comes to like, when you're playing against the 2nd and 3rd team guys, those stuff like that matters for them because that's good. That's good tape. So I think it's either he stays, they keep 3 quarterbacks, or someone comes in and gives the Raiders a good package and they move on from him. Because like I said, he does provide intrigue in the trade market. If there's a team that needs a backup quarterback with starter experience, I go back, like I think I said earlier, the Miami Dolphins is that one team. Like I'm not like, Malik Willis is in a role he really hasn't been in his whole career. How does he handle that? So, but at least, but they bring in O'Connell. At least they know that, this guy has started games against some really big teams throughout his career. Detroit Lions, someone to back up Jared Goff. Those are like 2 teams that come up to mind.
The Broncos.
Maybe maybe them, but at the same time, Sean Payton really likes Jarrett Stidham, and they like that chemistry in that QB room. I think another team is the Atlanta Falcons. You got 2 guys who are known for injuries. Michael Penix is just coming back from injury. Tua Tagovailoa, he's had his fair share of injuries, and he has struggled quite a bit during their training camp. So those are teams off the top of my head. Jesse, I don't know if you have any teams.
I think Detroit is the one that sticks out to me. Yeah, like of the ones you named, Detroit seems like it would make a lot of sense. Seems like it would be a good fit for Aiden in that offense, and kind of what they ask of the quarterback position. I feel like Sean Payton favors, a little bit more athleticism in your quarterback.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Aiden Pickett or anything like that, but I think that he's going to want more athleticism out of his QBs, and I don't think they would trade for someone, to your point, too. I think they like what they have in Stidham. I mean, God, the guy played in the AFC Championship game for him, Again, didn't win the game, and if the weather's different, who knows how that pans out, but I think they like him. So, yeah, to me, the one that stands out in that grouping the most would be the Lions. I'll be fascinated to see if that ends up happening.
Or maybe the Saints, since they like taking all the X-Raiders, right?
What is it, Chuck? And who's the backup right now? Do we know?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be Spencer Rattler at the moment?
Oh, Rattler.
Yeah,
I think behind Chuck.
Rattler.
Yeah.
God,
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that he's there. Jeez.
I forgot.
And I think one thing
they have Zach Wilson too.
Oh yeah.
I just pulled it up. That's crazy.
Dang. Okay.
And to going back to the Lions, I think that for Aiden, if I'm him and they do decide to move me, I hope it is Detroit, because I think Aiden can be a solid game manager. Yeah. And I think, the weapons out there with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamo, you got Jahmyr Gibbs. I think there's some guys around him, that Sam Laporta, the tight end, there's guys around him that you don't have to feel like you have to be the guy if something happens to Jared Goff and they need him to start. You got some really good help around him. And so like I said, Lions, I think Lions make the most sense out of all the teams. And then outside of that, Falcons, Dolphins, and those are really the teams that stand out there. Maybe I see someone put out there the Vikings. I don't know. It depends on how the whole JJ McCarthy situation plays out.
JJ.
Vikings is very interesting, because I know they still have Carson Wentz there too. I think the Lions make a ton of sense if the Raiders, if the Raiders and Lions come together for a trade for AOC. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think AOC stays on the AOC makes the roster if there's not a trade partner.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. And just looking at all the QB rooms too, even Atlanta has Cooper Rush, which not that he's played a ton of games or anything like that, but dude's been a backup a long time, trustworthy in that sense. I know the fact that Aiden's probably played more than he has would stand out there, but yeah, I'm fascinated to see how that one ends up playing out for him. I know there's a lot of people that love Aiden, and look, he was put in some really bad situations and played better than I think a lot of other quarterbacks would be. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. But God, for the love of God, can we get Jacob Clark reps? As we talked about, we are pounding the table for Jacob Clark. If we come on this show next Tuesday and Jacob Clark didn't get any reps, we gotta ask Kubiak what the heck happened.
You guys gotta bring it up.
We gotta ask him what's going on.
People want to know.
Yeah. So I cannot wait to see if he actually does. That will add so much intrigue into the game. And I know all you guys will be watching too. So I can't wait to get it rolling on Thursday night, guys. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. Do we top 1,000?
No, we're at
we didn't hit
13.
It?
We're at 13 left at 987.
Okay, so for the folks that are still watching, if you made it this far, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons on this thing, because if we haven't topped 1,000 by the time you make it here, we better be well over 1,000 by that point on the replays on this thing. But in the meantime, shout out to everybody that did subscribe during, because that's awesome to see that kind of growth on the show.
For sure. Thank you guys.